This is Donna with More Than a Review, and I'm thrilled to be here with Kim today. We are going to talk about her Little Black Dress books and also just hear a little bit about her and how she came to write, and then also write in several genres, which to me would be very hard. I can't even imagine writing in one, more or less several. But Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you did start the writing journey.
I am a Texas girl, born and raised, and I've got a husband of almost 35 years and two grown boys and a daughter-in-law, so and a dog and a cat, and it's the American dream. And I started writing when I was very young. I've got stories in an old trunk that will never ever become anything, but I can't throw them away.
Yep.
So I think the first time I ever realized that somebody could be a writer is when I read Little Women. And I was in the 3rd grade, and Miss Jordan, hey Miss Jordan, she got me introduced to that book, and I, in that 1 year, checked it out so many times the librarian wouldn't let me check it out anymore. I think I filled my own card, and so I had to start reading other things, which of course, led me to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and The Wizard of Oz and all of that, but and Nancy Drew like crazy. That's that started me on the mysteries. But the idea that Jo March was a writer, that intrigued me.
Yeah.
So.
And that could be, somebody pays you for that.
Somebody would pay me for that. So yeah, that's.
So
really
what
exciting.
led you to the mystery?
I really think I've always just loved mysteries. I started reading Agatha Christie maybe, I don't know, maybe 4th, 5th grade. And I, at one time, had a whole collection. I gave it to my son, and so now I'm kind of gathering back all that I can. So, yes.
Yeah, it's hard to give books away.
It
I've been down that
hard
road.
to give books away because you regret it.
So tell us, is it a series? Do you have a continuing character?
In the Little Black Dress series, I do have the same group of characters. It's basically a Texas girl who was put her way through college by being a fashion model. And while she's overseas, while she's in Europe doing the fashion thing, she gets recruited to an intelligence agency. And so I kind of think of it as if Audrey Hepburn was James Bond. That's kind of that story. And so she's got a little team. The Little Black Dress itself is its own character. It has all the gadgets. It's got the surveillance, and it's got body armor and all that fun stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you find like actually writing, now that you're an author, like the things that you thought about being a writer, like all your, I don't want to say like dreams or like, are they real, or do you come back and you go, oh wow, I didn't think it would be like this?
I think it's a little of both. I don't think I realized how very draining, because before I would just write a story and would be done. But the research and the emotional attachment, it just gets to me, and I'll be sitting at my desk and tears running down my cheeks, and and then sometimes I laugh at my own jokes, and I finish it and I think, oh, I hope somebody else laughs at this. I hope it's not just me. So I mean, in that way, I don't think I was prepared for how real my people become to me. But in other ways, it's a little bit of that world building, and I think it's really fun. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So what would you tell your younger writing self?
I think the biggest thing, as I think about that, is not everybody's opinion matters, and just keep writing. And if you get criticism, it doesn't necessarily mean anything personal against you. Sometimes it is absolutely just about making your story stronger. But even when it is a little personal and they mean it that way, that really doesn't matter sometimes, so.
Well, and I think to your point, they become so personal because they're your creation. It is very hard not to take it.
Sometimes it's really hard,
So what advice, like, do you feel like you've received and that you would give a new author that, like, just trying to balance? Because so many of them, you know, are just coming into it and may even still have a day job. Like, any advice on how they're able to balance that?
I still have a day job.
Oh, good.
Yes, and so, and sometimes it is really, really hard to balance that. I try to focus on, you know, doing the things that are urgent or that are important. But then I also, and I have to constantly remind myself, and my husband is wonderful about reminding me about that it's not selfish to write. And that is a huge thing.
Great.
So if you know, if you're starting and you're trying to eke out, you know, a few hours here and there, it's not selfish.
Yeah.
You're not, you know, there are way more selfish things that you could be doing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, you know, valid that he recognizes that as a job and a position, because, I can see other may not. Like,
he's really very supportive, and there are so many people that I know that don't have that blessing.
yes,
So
I was thinking that same thing.
it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and I do appreciate that.
I was thinking that. So I want to talk about your books a little bit too. So if someone is new to your writing, like, can they start with any of them? Should they start in order?
I really wrote them chronologically. So if
Yeah.
you'll start with Little Black Dress, and the 3-book series actually takes place only over about 3 months span.
Wow.
So it's very fast moving. If you start with the second one or the third, you may go, wait, what happened? In this particular time, I think starting with the first one, now, and I'm considering there's a lot of subtext through the whole books. There's very obviously some prior relationships between a couple characters that I just left out of these intentionally so that I could go back if I want to and write a couple of prequels that would be, you know, these two and these two over here that take place at the same time.
Oh, that's great.
So
what are you working on right now?
I have just finished the main edits of a YA novel, which is completely different. It's inspired by Annie Oakley and the Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, but it takes place in the future. And so it's horses in space kind of thing. But and it'll come out before the end of the year, and I am just working on outlines and stuff for my next one, which will be a true mystery noir set in historical downtown Dallas. And the little twist on it is that instead of the detective doing the narration, the dame or the femme fatale is doing the narration for it. So it's very different from what I've ever done before. But I'm excited about it.
Well, so along that line, I know you also write children's books and Christian fiction. So, like, how do you switch your mind from one to another?
Well, it's kind of funny. I think that I've been a Sunday school teacher for 25 years, something like that, and there are so many great stories in the Bible that really inspire me. And there's so many cool twists and turns that to me it's not so much switching gears, because even my children's books are geared toward thinking about things that are more important. I've got one called Pockets, and it's things that you can that children fit into their pockets, but also things that they cannot carry with them. Like, you can't put a hug in your pocket, and you can't put a smile in your pocket, and things like that. So it's that theme of goodness and sweetness that I think is really important, that I like to convey there. But then even with my spy novels, it's kind of a, you know, good versus bad through the whole thing. So I don't really think it's switching gears so much as looking for the story, maybe.
That is amazing. So I always love to close with a fun question of, what do you think your readers would be surprised to know about you?
That's really hard, because I I'm pretty much an open book. I am, part of that's because I don't really have a lot of filter. Like if it's in my head, it's probably coming out and not at the most opportune moments. I am a klutz, complete klutz. I love classic movies. I love watching Grace Kelly and Audrey Hepburn because I aspire to that, but I am nowhere near that. And that's one thing, the book that I'm working on right now, that I'm starting on, my main character, the femme fatale, is as much fatale as, because she's very klutzy, and she's not really, she's got no grace. She aspires to that, and that's one little chunk of me that she gets.
Yeah, I think some of us can relate to her.
That's what my feedback, my critique group keeps telling me is, I was like, oh, I feel her.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks.